the third rendition of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, which is a book by Roald Dahl that many children grow up reading and fall in love with the story of a young boy who grows up very poor, lives with both sets of grandparents and his parents, and they live in a very small one-bedroom apartment where they share just about everything. He gets a chocolate candy bar that has a golden ticket in it, and he's allowed into Willy Wonka's fantasy land of the chocolate factory. And the most recent movie that came out, Wonka, is the story of Willy Wonka coming to life and how he became Wonka, how he became the chocolate master. Now, this is a story of resiliency and persistence and following your dreams. And on Earth Day, what more important topic to talk about than one that revolves around chocolate, which, based off of what is going on in the world today, may become extinct because we are losing the areas in the world that are able to grow chocolate. There's only a few climates that chocolate can grow in, and because of the constant and prolific change in the climate, we are seeing these places drop off pretty significantly. But can we bring our dreams of having a better world to life? And can Wonka, from his story, teach us anything? So the story of Willy Wonka begins with him getting off of a ship in London, and he wants to become a chocolatier. He had spent most of his time where chocolate is grown and spent it with his mom, where they created chocolate, and he had this dream in his heart and one coin in his pocket and was walking around the city trying to find a place to stay for the night. He ends up handing the coin out to somebody who needed it more than him, so he thought, and he ended up at a place that asked him to sign this very long contract in exchange for him to be able to pay the due for the room the following day. So instead of paying the 1 shilling that it was for the room that night, he signed this very long contract that meant he would sign it tomorrow, and he was very confident that he would find a place where he could start selling his chocolate right away and that he would have the rent tomorrow. So he signs his contract, he gets his room, and then his whole life is flipped upside down. He actually signed onto a very big scam that said that not only did he owe that month's or that day's rent, he owed many months' rent. And because Wonka didn't read the fine print, he was stuck in this contract. But the willingness of Wonka to succeed did not vary quite yet. There was a young girl who had been dropped off as a baby at this location, and she had basically been forced to work there her entire life. And at this point, she was around 12 years old. When Wonka was signing his contract, she was trying to tell him, read the fine print. So when we are signing contracts, when we are getting into situations, most of us don't read the fine print. And of course, in this world today where there's hundreds of pages, it seems, on anything that you sign up for, the fine print seems pretty difficult to go through. But what's more important is the fine print of your own life. And that is what Willy Wonka never gave up on. The fine print that he wanted to create a candy store, a chocolate store, that he was able to share with the world how much he loved creating chocolate and sharing joy in that way. So when you are exploring life and you are looking at situations and opportunities to be around people or to have certain people in your life, look at the fine print. What are you giving up to have this person or this situation in your life? And is it worth it? Is having this person worth the extra time that you're spending, the drama, the headache? What are you getting out of this situation? Because contracts are exchanges of power, of goods. What are you getting out of the fine print of this relationship, this opportunity, this place? What are you getting out of it? And that is really the biggest question at the end of the day. What is in the fine print on everything that you do in life, which you can see the fine print as the consequences and the exchange. So Wonka is stuck washing clothes. That is what his new job has to be. And there is 7 or 8 other people who were fooled by this contract and are forced to serve their time there, and it is like a 30-year sentence. So all of these people will be here for a very long time, but the little girl wants to help Wonka have his chocolate business in exchange for him helping her how to read, and he is willing to do so, and together they figure out a way for him to sneak out during the days when everyone else is working, and everyone else is in on it and supportive of it, because Wonka is constantly telling them that I'm gonna make this dream happen no matter what. And one of the first scenes we see of Wonka sharing his chocolate with the little girl is him creating a chocolate that's brand new with his little contraption, and the chocolate he makes is a silver linings chocolate, and we continue to see the persistence of Charlie's with Willy's willingness to create the life that he wants. And his silver linings chocolate has a little thunderbolt, and the little girl feels hope again when she has the chocolate, and it's very cute and is very emblematic of the personality that Willy is offering to everyone. And he eventually is able to share his chocolate with the public and create a good amount of it, and he goes on various adventures where he ends up even getting giraffe's milk and is able to create this chocolate. And once he starts selling it, he involves the other people that are stuck under this contract and is able to make enough money to finally open a store. Now, overarching over this entire town is the other chocolate makers of the town, and they own not just all the chocolate that's being sold, but a lot of the police force and the politics of the town. So they have the chief of police under contract with them with an exchange of chocolate. So it really does point to this idea that corruption can run deep, and that at the end of the day, when those in power are abusing their power, it really does affect the majority at large, and really did affect the people who lived where Willy Wonka was forced to. So the chief of police is being given chocolate, and we see him getting bigger and bigger, which is very symbolic of the idea of you become consumed with the things that you are obsessed with, and you become enlarged because of it. So whether you're seeking power or money or fame, the things that you are seeking will create a larger version of you. And we quite literally saw this with him consuming all the chocolate, and him with all the corruption was getting bigger and bigger. And that is a nod to the idea that we are self-inflicting a lot of the pain, and that it's always a double-edged sword when we try to circumvent the system or backtrack around what is the right path. And when we are willing to comply with the corruption, we end up being hurt too. So he physically could not really move around the city, and people were judging him, but he continued to consume the chocolate. So when we drink from the fire hose, we are willing participants in creating a life that we are not going to be proud of, and become a version of ourselves that we don't like and we don't recognize, which was the main idea of him becoming this very enlarged person. Because of all the chocolate he was consuming, he became a version of himself that he could not recognize. So when you engage in these certain conversations, these certain places, understand that you are signing up to become a different version of yourself that you don't recognize, and better believe that that version of yourself that you don't recognize could be a very bad version of yourself. There's very many ways that you can become a version of yourself that you really enjoy and really like. It's very easy to become a version of yourself that you do not. So be careful. So Wonka finally makes enough money, and he can open his own brand new store. And at this point, the caretakers of that inn that he is forced to work at are suspicious of what's going on and how he's able to do this. And the top chocolate makers excuse me, of the town go to the innkeepers, and they give them poisons to put into the chocolate that mess with the recipes. So as Wonka's day of opening is happening, the people who start consuming the chocolate start having these really bizarre reactions. And he is forced to shut everything down, and everything is completely destroyed. And this is the first time that we see Willy Wonka really fall apart and not know what to do next, which is where the support of the people that he has become close friends with really comes in hand, really becomes very important, and they are the reason why he starts to believe in himself again. And they devise a plan where they're going to break into the vault of chocolate that the chocolate makers own, because all of his chocolate is gone, and they want to see what's actually happening. And during this time, in the background, we see an accountant who has two different books, the green book and the red book, which is the truth of where the money is coming from and where it's going for this chocolate maker's entire empire. And they get into contact with him, and they realize that those chocolate makers are stealing a lot of money from the town and creating a very bad situation for a lot of the people and stealing a lot of money. So they go in there to try and steal this book so that they can prove what's actually going on. And in the mix, they end up falling into the chocolate fountain that is filled with chocolate and is where the chocolate makers are leaving them to die within the chocolate. But we see the reprisal story of one of the characters who comes in and helps them and gets them out. And chocolate is free flowing through all the fountains. The top chocolate makers are arrested. We see the innkeepers also arrested, and Wonka finally has his chocolate. And the little girl finds out throughout this, as a background story, that her uncle was that top chocolate maker, and he separated her from her mother, who worked at a library, and she was reconnected with her at the end of the movie, which is very sweet. And at the end, Willy Wonka is remembering his mom, who is his inspiration for all of the chocolate making, and she left him a chocolate, and in it is a message that basically encaptures the whole point of the movie, which is chocolate tastes as sweet as the people that you keep around, and it is the company that matters the most, which is a theme that we've talked about before. And Willy Wonka goes on to become Willy Wonka. He opens the chocolate factory, and we see his full story come to an end. And there is a great passion that follows a few people, and to see them live that passion out inspires many. So Wonka went on to inspire the other people to follow their own passions and to create the stories that they wanted. So it's a very sweet movie. It's very different from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, of course, because this is Willy Wonka's story. Some parts were better than others, but it's available on HBO Max now, and I saw it trending, so you can go and watch it there if you're interested. But circling it back to Earth Day, our dreams are meant to empower us to become the people that we want. And if we continue to find the silver linings, if we continue to look for the good in what's going on, our dreams can create us into the people that we've always wanted to be. And throughout that journey, we have to be decisive about who we allow with us into those next phases, because not everybody is there for you the way you want them to be and the way you hope that they are. And you have to see them for who they actually are. And the truth in the end will come out. That police officer got his dues, and so did the chocolate makers and the innkeepers. And so if you are working in this world in a way that is against the world, it eventually comes out and against you, which is the message for Earth Day, because we are tirelessly working against the planet, and we are seeing the ramifications of that with what's going on all over the world with extreme weather patterns and the lack of food and clean water access for so many people on the planet. Over 2 billion people lack access to clean water and easy access to food. It is a matter of importance for us to realize that what is happening with or without our participation, and we need to start participating in the positive, because if you're not participating positively, you are participating negatively, because you are just passive in your choices, and that is the worst place to be. Educate yourself this Earth Day on what's going on, whether it's in the clothing industry, the food industry, what's happening with water around the world, where our energy is coming from, and all of these things to say this world is ours and we need to take care of it. And if we have a dream in our heart to create a better world, it is the dream that needs to be lived out, and it is lived out through every choice and decision that we make. So please do what you can to make the next choice that you make a choice that brings you closer to the person that you want to be, because there's only one person that we get to be in this world, and that is ourselves, and that is the only person that we will ever truly be with for the rest of our lives. We need to get good with the person in the mirror, and we need to get good with accepting that if we don't follow our dreams, we will be creating someone else's, and someone else's dream might actually be a nightmare for this planet. Be aware of your choices and your decisions. Celebrate the earth, go outside, and understand that your decisions and who you are matter, and they should empower you to be the best version of yourselves. So go watch Wonka, go for a walk, enjoy your life, think about what it means to be the person that you are, and keep going. I'll see you guys soon. Thanks.